I don't enjoy calling for somebody's job. Tom Coughlin, for example, I know he's a two-time Super Bowl champion. I respect that. It would be 4 straight years to miss the playoffs, 6 of the last 8. How do you still keep your job after this season? As far as I'm concerned, if Tom Coughlin and the Giants don't make the playoffs, it's time for a change. He's been there long enough.
Well, there you heard it. Stephen A. saying this should be it for Tom Coughlin. The Giants find themselves missing the playoffs for a 4th consecutive year, as Stephen A. said, after a 3rd straight losing season. So, is the Super Bowl winning coach done? Scoop?
I'm never one to believe that you should X somebody out unless you have somebody in place to take that. And I don't know what the Giants are doing internally in the executive offices, but I do think maybe beginning week 2 or 3 that the little search committee started to get into place and possibly see how this was going to ride itself out. And so far, it's not riding itself out very well. I don't want to, I feel like I'm being over dramatic here. You know, no, because I don't want him to go, but there's a part of me that really thinks that search committee over this year was like, if he doesn't at least get us to the playoffs, then he's gone. And I really do think, unfortunately, that may be what's happening in New York. But I don't know who they have in effect to replace him. That's the bigger question. I think he is done, though.
Well, let's go to you, because I know you're in the New York market, and this is a team that you cover all the time and for many years.
And I've covered the Giants. You know, this isn't the first time Tom Coughlin's obviously been on the hot seat. He's been on it before. I think what struck me as different, and going into Sunday night's game, I was thinking, you know what, Tom Coughlin's won 2 Super Bowls. The Mara ownership, Tisch ownership, they've always stuck behind him and given him the benefit of the doubt, because that does bring something, some certain credibility when you win 2 Super Bowls. But I get it. There was no Odell Beckham Jr., but that way they lost that game, and then to see Tom Coughlin in the post-game press conference, and then to hear him on a conference call the next day, 24 hours later, I haven't heard him like this, and I haven't seen him like this. He sounded like all the air has been taken out of him. Eli Manning, even on the conference call, almost sounded as if Tom Coughlin is done. I think the writing is almost on the wall. I don't even know if, you know, what I could end up seeing is perhaps Tom Coughlin is such a prideful guy that maybe he takes it out of ownership's hands and just says, hey, I'm going to retire at the end of the season. All I'm saying is I've just never seen him sound or look like this. He talked the other day about he didn't want players having to answer for him because of what the circumstance the coach is in. I've never seen him talk like that. He was also asked after the game, do you feel you have enough talent to win? And he said he didn't want to get into it. These are normally things that Coughlin doesn't even entertain. Right. I'm not saying right now this week he's preparing for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's not even thinking about his job. But the way it has been talked about so much and the way he's kind of reacted, it almost sounds like he's defeated and resigned. And I just have not seen Tom Coughlin like that before.
If that's the case, if what you're seeing and suggesting is true, if Tom Coughlin is basically done himself, if he's quit or if he's defeated.
I don't think he's quit. I would never say that about Tom Coughlin, knowing Tom Coughlin. I'm just saying. If
he's on the defeated end of the spectrum, he's made the decision for us. He's made the decision for the Maras and the Tisches. He's made the decision for the Giants. I'll say this. One of the things in sports we consistently underrate is consistency. It is continuity and the value of these abstractions. You know, Eli Manning this year, when his second with Ben McAdoo, I mean, incredibly better than he was last year. Another year of that? You don't think it's going to even get better?
Right.
We're constantly entranced and we constantly overvalue new. The grass is greener on the other side of the fence.
Absolutely.
And in this case, you're saying new is going to be better than a guy who's won you 2 Super Bowls. Now, you don't have to go very far across the NFL to find anybody else with that resume. There aren't many. This reminds me a little bit. I'm a big Texas Longhorns fan. I went to law school there. I'm from Texas. It reminds me a little bit of the final days of Mac Brown. Mac was great. Mac brought things to the University of Texas that it hadn't had in decades, a national championship. And towards the end, the last couple years, he wasn't living up to his own bar, his own level of expectations he has raised for everybody. That being said, it still takes something else to push the fan base and push administration over the hurdle to get a legend out. And what did it take at the University of Texas? It took the prospect, the little false premise that you could have Nick Saban. That grass has to look really green. And in this case, to your point, Scoop,
that's my point.
It's got to be somebody like Sean Payton.
Yes.
It's Sean Payton being out in New Orleans and the Giants going, there is a real greener field we could jump to. If it's the Chicago Bears offensive coordinator, Gase, or if it's some other coordinator in this league, I don't know that the Giants could make the decision, and I don't think they should. You need to value consistency and continuity. The Giants will get better under Coughlin. I truly believe that, and I'm a Cowboys fan. I don't want them to get better, but I think Coughlin is a good coach, and he'll keep them in the right direction.
I know there are names out there like Sean Payton. Giants fans will always bring up Bill Cowher, for example. They want Bill Cowher. They have an offensive coordinator in Ben McAdoo, who I think they see eventually as a head coaching candidate. You know, look, Tom Coughlin has not had the talent this year. A lot of his players have been hurt. Victor Cruz is never even on the field.
Just the season with JPP starting off, you have to deal with that. So.
He's had a lot of circumstances, but I think, like we were talking about Johnny Manziel, there's a cumulative effect here. They have not made the playoffs 4 straight years in a row. At the end of last season, John Mara was asked, listen, is next year kind of a make or break year? Do they have to make the playoffs, or are there going to be changes? And he said that's a fair statement. I'm paraphrasing. So if that's the case, this is a tough decision for John Mara to make, because I think, like a lot of Giants fans, they obviously love what Tom Coughlin has done for them. He's brought 2 Super Bowls, but now, and continuity, I don't ever look over that. That is a big deal, but perhaps now maybe it's time for new blood. And I just was really struck this week by the way I saw and heard Tom Coughlin. I've just never seen that from him.
I think who is going to be the new blood. It goes back to what we were saying earlier. You can't replace him at this stage with just somebody.
Yeah.
It has to be somebody that has name recognition, that can bring a different total identity to the situation, and somebody you believe that can just resurrect this franchise. So it can't be an OC that we've never heard of, or some new cat that's in college.
Certainly not a college coach.
Right. You can't.
And remember, Eli Manning has never had any other coach outside of Tom Coughlin.
Right, exactly right.
How do you think Eli feels? Because this is a coach that he's known for years, ever since he came out of college.
Eli said it yesterday. He feels disappointed that he has not been able to play better for Tom Coughlin to get to the playoffs. I don't put this on Eli Manning's shoulders, though. I just don't think they don't have enough talent on defense. The other day, I mean, the receivers he was throwing to, there was no Victor Cruz, there was no, Odell Beckham Jr. They're just, the talent level is just not there. But part of me also wonders, Eli obviously would want Tom Coughlin to return, but perhaps now 4 years he has not made the playoffs. The window is closing for Eli Manning's career, and the Giants have to think, how many more good years of Eli Manning do we have left? This championship window to win with a guy who's won 2. We need to get back to the playoffs, and we haven't gotten there 4 years in a row.
It's tough because continuity definitely pays off in the NFL. You look at the Patriots, the Bengals, and also the Steelers, and all of them, they all have something in common, and that's the ownership staying in place and also the head coach. All right, so from the NFC East